Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Wayfair News meteorologist Brian Good here as we are now heading into a new week, and it looks like more of the same. In fact, the timing is nearly identical for the best chance for thunderstorms for the week ahead. Now, here's how I'm going to handle this blog update today, because we have several systems that will be impacting us between now and the main front that'll move in Friday morning. So I really would like to break down all these severe weather parameters for each one of these and let you know where they rank. Is it a big deal? Not a big deal. For the essence of time, though, I can't do that. So I'm just going to give you a general overview, and I'll let you know if it looks alarming or not. And then as we get closer to each one of these, I'll be able to break it down a little more. But at least for this Monday, I want to give you a general idea how the week is looking, and then we'll take all these little ones in advance at a day at a time. And, of course, we'll keep an eye on how things play out with the main front Thursday night and Friday. Having said that, here's the outlook from SPC over the next 3 days. Keep in mind these outlooks are given an idea from this morning all the way through after midnight tonight and very early Tuesday morning. And then the next day, or the day 2 outlook, picks up from that point and goes on from there. So it can be a little misleading when you see these outlooks. You got to understand the times that the SPC draws these, because a lot of you can get confused on that based on some of your tweets you're sending me. So keep that in mind. Now, between now and early tomorrow morning, the outlook is marginal. There's no slight risk anywhere. I'm not a big fan of this marginal risk, by the way. It used to be the C-text for you weather geeks like me that used to be out there. I think it'd be a little more confusing. But it's not a slight risk. It just means, isolated strong storms. And this is not for this evening. This is actually for late tonight and very early tomorrow morning for the cutoff time. That's why it ends right along I-65, because the storms would be in our area at the time that this day 1 outlook would end. So it's, again, just a marginal outlook. We'll examine that in detail in just a second. As we get into tomorrow, no outlook right now is listed for tomorrow. The new version of this is about to be issued in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So if it's any different or they add an outlook to it, I will post it on the written form. Just a heads up there that it likely is going to come out after the video was done here. And then as we get into Wednesday, a chance here early in the day, maybe some marginal activity, but here's our first outbreak of severe weather breaking out with a slight risk in Iowa down into Oklahoma. And this does enhance a little more to the east as we get into Thursday, as a lot of you have already seen there from SPC. All right, so let's start with today. So far, it's warm out. We're already knocking the door of 70 outside. Even though it's cloudy in many locations, although there's some thinning going on now in the cloud cover in Kentucky. A lot of you are starting to see more and more of that blue sky shining through, and that temperature is responding. But we've got a good south wind, as you see there on the banner, at 9 miles per hour at Louisville International. Now, all the showers have been really struggling today, just very, very spotty. Main activity for thunderstorms likely will be across our southern tier of counties. You see those storms now tracking across the lane between the lakes area through Nashville. That will hug the Kentucky-Tennessee border for this afternoon into the early evening hours. This is the beginning stages here of activity that are rolling here later on tonight after midnight, where the marginal outlook has been placed in anticipation of that system. All right, so let's talk about how the models are looking. And I'm just going to show you the GFS here because it does the better job of at least giving you an idea of how each one of these play out. First off, for this afternoon, you see all the activity, mainly, as I pointed out, south down in Tennessee. Tomorrow morning, different ideas on how this will evolve, the activity rolling out from our west. Before you go to bed tonight, it'll be on the radar at that point, so make sure to watch the news tonight at 11 with Kevin for the latest on that. But they'll move in here tomorrow morning, and yeah, there could be some hail with that, maybe some gusty winds, but overall, the parameters not off the chart. I'll show you those in a minute. We'll get a break Tuesday afternoon, could get close to 80 tomorrow afternoon, in fact. Wednesday, we have a chance to be fairly unstable. There's not a lot of wind energy locally, I'll show you that, but there is at least a good amount of agreement. It could be very unstable, very warm day. Thunderstorm action highest to our west. We'll keep an eye on Wednesday, though. And then as we head into Thursday, this is the big day. Starts off with a warm front early in the day with some showers and storms, and then the GFS timing right now is aiming toward 7 p.m. Thursday through, you see there, about 4 a.m. Friday morning for the line of storms. And it's trying to really enhance the squall line potential a little more to our south, where the better instability will be, and probably another area of severe weather located in Illinois and Indiana. We may be in a gap, and we see that quite often in these type of scenarios. We're not out of the woods, at least our viewing area is not, but some areas may get lucky out of this front. We'll see how that plays out. It's way down the line here in the week, so the timing on this is going to keep changing. Instability factor is going to keep changing. You guys know how this works. All right, for tomorrow, here's the wind fields for tomorrow morning. Not off the charts. You don't see any red. Anytime you get to the red, that's when you get into the threshold of severe wind potential. It's below that. So some gusty winds, but we're not expecting much out of that. Wednesday, again, I mentioned instability. It's fairly high Wednesday locally. We have some decent wind, so I wouldn't rule out a gusty storm. But you can see the best wind and instability is met here, where there's already a slight risk drawn for this area. So that's a good slight risk from SPC based on these parameters, and not so impressive here. But again, we'll keep on nicely a gusty storm. Now, as we went into Thursday, I put the two models side by side here. This is the actual model of precipitation. This is the NAM, and this is the GFS for 7 p.m. Thursday evening. And it is showing the beginning stages of the squall line, probably broken lines of storms beginning here at 7 p.m. across Missouri down to Paducah and Little Rock and Jonesboro. The GFS, actually fairly similar, maybe a bit more east here, a little faster across Illinois, and then you can see it's trying to build that storm maximum to the south of that gap there in the middle. Based on that, though, it would put us around midnight, if not a little bit after, for them to move in. The Canadian continues to be a little bit slower than the other two. The Euro's not in yet, but the Canadian is arriving around 7 a.m. for the storms to push through here. And the Canadian and the Euro both have been the slowest of all of them. So we'll see how the timing will work out. But it could be anywhere from late evening Thursday to mid-morning, if not midday Friday. And that's the window right now that we are looking at. As you all know, that time of day is in our favor because that is when our instability is at its lowest. Although the wind energy is decent enough, we got to watch that for maybe some severe weather, certainly. Now, a lot of you have seen the tweets have been going out. I sent one out, too, that came out from some friends of ours. It's the analogs that put all together the scenario from the GFS model. It says, okay, here's the storm that's going to be moving in Thursday night and Friday. Based on all the other storms that have had a very similar structure and setup, what happened in reality? Not what could have happened, what did happen. And when you do that, the model, the analog we call that, here's the outlook for tornadoes that were produced in that setup. You see the focus tornadoes was Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, very close to the low pressure. And then you see that split that I was talking about. The GFS is picking up on there on another maximum of tornado the activity that was reported across Tennessee, Missouri, and Alabama, and Mississippi. And notice there was a little more of a gap that took place in between the two. Interesting to see that. When you look at the big tornadoes, EF2, EF3, and on up, that was focused pretty much in the same spots. Two areas of mainly concern, closer to low pressure than another one off to our south, and nothing took place here within our area based on the history of that setup. So I thought that was interesting that that was showing up there. I know a lot of you were worried about that when you saw those maps, but so far history's proven that we lucked out okay in those scenarios, but people in this area and people down here to our southwest did not. It's just a model tool that we can use to help us out in forecasting, and I just want to share that data. All right, once we get past the storm Friday itself, the weekend still looks good. Saturday and Sunday, warm. I think we'll see in the 70s all weekend, maybe even get close to 80 again by Sunday. We got a warm front, though, that is moving through late Sunday night into Monday. Very similar setup with a strong low pressure. Now, how's it going to behave? Don't know. Some data takes it a little more to the north than this current wind would, which will lessen our severe potential, but keep it pretty active with thunderstorms throughout most of next week, which will lead us into thunder over Louisville. And right now, this is the operational GFS. I'll look at the ensembles when they're out, but it is showing a cold front moving through Friday night, the day before thunder, and it slowly works its way out of here Saturday morning, but it does bring in some temperatures on the cool side, only in the 50s for highs for thunder over Louisville. That's the GFS. Now, keep in mind, the GFS has a cold bias, so I really I wouldn't get too worried about that right now, but that is at least a first glance at the data for thunder over Louisville. You know how these things work. We'll see how it plays out. All right, guys, so we got a lot to track the next couple of weeks for sure, but obviously this week is going to be our focus here for these clusters of storms. Main area this afternoon, south of us. We got everybody has a chance tomorrow morning especially. We have another chance for a few storms on Wednesday, and then Thursday night into Friday. That is the period of the main front. The best wind energy will take place at that time. The question will be timing, because that will answer our other question is, how much instability will we have? And we can't answer that yet until we answer the timing question. All right, guys, that's it for right now. At least it's 70 outside, or at least almost 70, so we'll try to enjoy it.